This is Capitol View.
Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome to Capitol View. I'm Bob Clausen in for Jay Burr. Right out of the gate, joining us this morning, Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin. We've got a lot to get to. Lieutenant Governor, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Always fun, Bob.
We always start out things with the pledge, but not the Pledge of Allegiance.
Different pledge.
A pledge that you signed, the Heritage Action for America, and this has to concern something we've been hearing a lot about, and it's the defund the police movement. And I'm not sure, some people are, calling for defund police departments, others are saying reorganize funds, reallocate them. What does the pledge that you signed bring forth?
Well, look, the pledge basically affirms that it's a really ridiculous idea. The idea of defunding the police, and that's what people are saying. We take them on their word that that's what they mean. That's completely beyond any reasonable discussion. These are the people that the law enforcement, the police, that keep the peace in our neighborhoods and allow us, when we put our kids to bed at night, say their prayers, allow us to focus on them and not worry about the chaos outside. This is a dangerous ideology that is spreading across the country, and I think it's important for leaders to speak out very clearly and say, this is a bad idea. This is not even within the realm of reasonable discussion.
What about a reasonable discussion would be better training? Allocate funding to increase training and maybe, raise the bar a little bit for officers.
So, as long as we're living on this earth, we're not going to have perfection. There are issues that need to be addressed. But if your argument is, let's address training, let's address the pay of officers, I totally agree. Great discussion. Let's do that. I don't think officers get paid enough. A lot of the most important jobs in our society get some of the lowest pay. We need to work on that. But that's not what people are saying. Mm-hmm. They're saying defund the police. Now, some people say, well, what we really mean is this. The English language has lots of words available. If you mean something else, use other words. If you say defund the police, it's pretty clear what those words mean. And these sorts of pledges, I think, they serve the voters well because they allow and enable public officials to make a clear-cut statement of how they feel.
Where you stand.
Do you
think too, that when we talk about defund the police, and we've seen that popping up on memorials and monuments and things like that, and even saying defund the police, that the kind of like the message is getting lost in the method that it's trying to bring.
Well, look, there's a lot of leftist extremists around the country, and believe it or not, there's some here. And I am one of the biggest defenders of the First Amendment you will ever find. I am all for people speaking out and expressing themselves, protesting within the laws. But once people go into violence against people, other people, or destruction of public or private property,
we saw a little bit here in
you're no longer protected. Well, you're no longer protected by the First Amendment. You're no longer protected by our laws. You have then become a criminal. And I think that we need to articulate some of these very basic things more clearly and more often. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of bad ideas continue to survive and thrive because people in positions of leadership don't speak clearly and articulately about them.
How do we move from the violence and the vandalism to maintaining a conversation, respecting both sides? Because it seems these things will bubble up and boil over, and then they sort of go away until they bubble up again.
Well, first of all, make no mistake about it. You can see this with children and the way they act. If you allow people to get away with certain actions, you'll get more of it. And so you have to start out by not just talking about law and order, but making sure we actually have law and order and make sure that we protect public property, private property. I haven't seen anyone criticize for having peaceful, vigorous conversations. I haven't seen anyone criticize for going through the system that we have to change things. That's not the problem. The problem is when you destroy people's property and you commit violence on people. That's the problem.
You're getting their attention, but not for the right reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk about, I don't want to get into the coronavirus. We get into that enough daily. But do you think that a byproduct of the coronavirus, since there's going to be corporations and people looking to move out of larger cities, getting them here to move to Arkansas? I know this past week you had an announcement down across it.
Sure. Look, we've got to always be looking for opportunities and advantages that we have here in Arkansas so that we can compete with other states and other countries. And we had, I was at the announcement in Crossett of approximately 80 jobs that are coming down, that are going to be, some are there, but some more will be on their way. And that is a company that makes cargo trailers. They were looking for a location west of the Mississippi, and the folks in Crossett working with the state really leaned in on that and made the case. But to your broader point, look, whether it be pharmaceuticals and other things that we rely on China for, we need to be looking at opportunities to bringing that sorts of manufacturing, those sorts back to the U.S. and specifically back to Arkansas. Look, I was talking to some folks at Natural State Laboratories today, and they have had an increase, I think, of 60 hires, 60 employees because of what's going on with the pandemic. So we've got to be looking for opportunities.
What do you think, moving forward, and, because so much attention is on COVID-19, the protests, the violence, and to the presidential race that's out there. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Heard of it. Heard a couple things about it. Yeah.
But what are some of the biggest issues moving forward the next 4 or 5 years that Arkansans are facing that you hear that want to be addressed? All this other stuff aside.
Sure. Well, we always have the issue of we need to make sure that we are electing the right leaders. I think that's critically important. I think leaders who have experience and who don't need on-the-job training. I think that is something that we need to think about when we put people in office. Here in Arkansas, for example, the governor is not just the CEO of the state, but is the commander-in-chief of the National Guard. Those are critically important roles, and we got to make sure we're electing the right people. Also, we've got to continue to lean forward on ways that we can compete, and not just compete at the edges, but I want to beat the socks off of other states like Texas, Tennessee, states that have no income tax. That's a big disadvantage for us that we've got to continue to work to do better on. And so we have got to always be looking at that. Education continues to be an issue. I have a kid in public school, Little Rock Public School. It continues to have its challenges here. That's why I'm such a big advocate for choice. I believe that parents and students ought to have a choice of where they go for their education, whether it be traditional, public, charter, private, homeschool. And this pandemic has highlighted some of the disparities, even within the Little Rock public school system, the disparities between this school and that school over here. Kids are getting different sorts of inconsistent education, and we need to empower parents to choose where they send their kids.
Speaking of choices, when you're in the Caddo Valley area, is it Flying Burger or Fishnet? You haven't been to Fishnet yet,
I have not been to, I have been to Fishnet.
Oh, yeah?
I have been to Fishnet. It depends on the mood. I love them both. I'm a big restaurant guy.
I know. It's
I'm a huge restaurant guy. Now, the Flying Burgers started in Magnolia, where I'm from. And I love the massive Gulf shrimp there.
Yeah.
And the burgers are good, but I love some fried catfish at the Fishnet.
Yeah, it's not too bad. All right, next time you're in the neighborhood, stop by.
I'll do it. Thank you.
Lieutenant Governor, thanks very much for taking some time out for us this morning. When we come back, we remember a day that changed America as we know it. We remember the impact of the deadliest attacks on U.S. soil since Pearl Harbor. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
I love shoes. You find them in the store, they call you. but they hurt. The best ones hurt the worst. And you're walking around going, I don't want anyone to know that I'm not happy. Stuck in the arch supports, and I felt so much better. I'd say Good Feet helped with all of my great shoes. They turned out to be something that actually works for me. My name is Ava, and that's my Good Feet story.
See for yourself with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Luxury Home and Land Auction, Wednesday, September 23rd at 11 a.m. at 10 Weston Circle, Conway, Arkansas. Luxury gated estate with 22 acres, 9,350 square foot home, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and 3 half baths. Coppered ceilings, granite floors, and countertops. Large pool, pool house, and shop. Also selling 2 adjoining lots at Weston Estate. For auction details, go to wilsonauctioneers.com.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Ignite something. Ignite excitement. Ignite curiosity, adventure, and small moments of beauty. Only the perfect cut unleashes a diamond's power to ignite hearts on fire.
Come see us at Cecil's Fine Jewelry.
Right now, you're probably not thinking about your fireplace. It's hot outside. But at A1 Chimney Pro, we know in a month or 2 when it cools down, you'll need it in good working order. So don't wait. Make sure it's clean and safe for your family right now. Get it done before your neighbors all pick up the phone. Be the first one to have your chimney inspected, cleaned, and repaired if needed by our certified professionals. So it'll be ready when you are. Don't play with fire. Call today or check us out on the web at a1chimneypro.com.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
September 11, 2001, one of the darkest days in American history. 19 militants associated with al-Qaeda hijacked 4 airplanes and flew 2 of them into the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center in New York City. A 3rd plane hit the Pentagon. A 4th crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Over 3,000 people were killed. 19 years later, America still remembers where they were when the towers fell. Today, if you think about it, 19 years, most people, most students right now, they weren't alive when the 9/11 terror attacks happened. Many of them too young to even have a memory of it because they were just so small. Kevin Kelly joining us now. Talk a little about this. Kevin, as a reporter, you were witnessing this. We were both doing morning shows. At the time I was here, you were in Phoenix. I was off that day, and I remember hearing on the radio, because we're old enough, you know, you get up in the morning, turn the radio
Right,
on.
yeah.
And talking about a plane into a tower. And first thing I'm thinking of was they were recalling something that happened in the late 40s when the B-25 flew into the Empire State Building.
Yeah, yeah.
Turned on the TV, saw this was a completely different situation. It was actually happening live. Tuned in there. But you were on the air in Phoenix when this happened, so that changes the tone to everything you were doing.
It was very bizarre, and I can remember it vividly. While you were listening to this unfold on the radio, I was actually in Phoenix doing a fluff story.
Yeah.
Because it was the early morning hours in Phoenix. And as you know, Bob, we have what are called IFBs, and this is how we can listen to our producer. And as I was looking into the camera doing this fluff story, my producer told me in my ear, breaking news, World Trade Center on fire. That's all the information she passed on to me. So once I finished the fluff story, I had to make this major transition. And there was no video at that particular moment, so I started, we have some breaking news just into, the NBC affiliate there. I understand that there's a fire at the World Trade Center, and then I look up at the monitor, and we take this live shot, and we see this big, huge, gigantic hole in the North Tower, and I was speechless. Now, when there's dead air on TV, it's usually not a good sign. But in this case, as I reflect back, I think it was appropriate because there were no words to describe what I was looking at.
Being at home, too, I'm standing there aghast at this. What's happening at that point? And then the second plane hits. And, when the second plane was getting close, I was like, well, here comes some guy. That's a pretty busy air corridor. He's flying around. He wants to take a look and see what's happening. And then the second plane hit that tower, and it was like something horrendous is underway.
That was the game changer because I think when we were looking at the images of the first plane to hit the North Tower, we thought, oh my goodness, this is a tragic freak accident. We didn't realize the magnitude at the time, but literally 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, we watched as the second plane
Yeah.
went right into the other tower, and we realized right then and there that the U.S. was being under attack.
And then you went to, you actually became a participant in the coverage at Ground Zero. You guys were out there actually going to cover the World Series, but plans changed, and then you're actually down there.
Yeah,
watching this stuff unfold.
It was interesting because 7 weeks had transpired since the towers collapsed up until the time that we decided to play the World Series. Usually it's played in October, but it had to be extended for obvious reasons. So, you know, I think America wanted some sense of normalcy, so they decided to go ahead and start playing the World Series. And at the time in 2001, it was the New York Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I was given the assignment of going back to cover Ground Zero while at the same time covering the World Series. And when we got there, the first assignment I did is I ran over to Engine 54. They were one of the first companies to arrive at the towers, and they suffered the most casualties of any first responders. They lost 15 firefighters. And even to this day, 19 years later, Engine 54 has become a global tourist attraction.
Yeah.
People stop by there all the time. The fallen heroes, their pictures are up within the fire department. People stop by to take pictures, leave notes.
New York's bravest.
And just to shake their hands for the individuals that are there.
What do you think, you know, because obviously we're in the current events business, and we look back a lot. We're, you know, well versed on history, as it were. So these events are very poignant to us. And you look back at Pearl Harbor, and I remember as a kid, you know, Pearl Harbor Day, you know, put the flag out, remember what happened. It seems, and maybe it's just me, but it seems there's a different take on this. It seems the more we get removed from it, the less and less it tends to come up. Well, the importance of it, what we learned from it, and also how the country came together right after this.
Yeah, I mean, when it happened, the entire country was paralyzed in fear and grief, understandably so. But as the days and weeks progressed, we saw this gigantic transformation all across the United States. A tidal wave of unity, as you said. It didn't matter your color, your faith, or your creed. None of that mattered because we were all Americans. We all felt the same loss. And we saw all these acts of heroism unfolding before our very eyes. And the patriotism just went to a completely different level.
If you didn't already have an American flag, I don't think you could get your hands on one.
Yeah.
You know, everybody had one, and they were flying all over the place.
And that lasted for years after 9/11. But as you brought up, and understandably so, as we reflect on today's environment and the things that we're going through with social injustices and equal rights and so forth, somewhere along the way, the unity and the patriotism has gotten lost.
To slip away. And it's one of those things, and it's so important to remember this and tell your kids about it. And it's, you know, when I ask my daughter, and you've got kids, you know, what did they talk, did they cover 9/11 today in school? Well, they mentioned something about it, you know, and
we have stories to tell because we lived through it.
Yeah.
They're just learning about it.
And so many people died during it, too. I mean, it was a horrendous day. A lot of people just got up, went to work, and didn't come home.
I'll never forget standing literally just a few feet away from Ground Zero 7 weeks after it happened. I could see all the rubble in front of me. I could see the smoke. It was still on fire 7 weeks later.
It's incredible.
It was a life-changing experience.
But yeah, if you get the opportunity, fill the young kids on that particular day in American history, but more importantly, how we came together as a country after that. Kevin, thanks very much for your time.
As always,
Appreciate it. 3 Arkansans were killed on 9/11. Flight attendant Sarah Lowe of Batesville. Naaman Lyons, he was from Pine Bluff. He was at the Pentagon. And Melissa White of Bald Knob, she was at the World Trade Center.
The Labor Day sale at Furniture Row has been extended, so the more you buy, the more you save. Save $100 on every $1,000 you spend.
Plus 5 years no interest and free shipping.
But don't wait. The extended Labor Day sale at Furniture Row ends soon.
At Arkansas Spine and Pain, our patients are our purpose.
I'm Larry.
I'm Alma.
I'm John. I went to 3 doctors before I found Arkansas Spine and Pain.
The change is remarkable.
They care. It's that simple.
Arkansas Spine and Pain. Get your life back ASAP.
Are bill collectors stressing you out with harassing phone calls? Do you feel like you're drowning in debt and running out of options? You're not alone. The experienced bankruptcy attorneys at the Prey Law Firm help people every day just like you. They help people protect their home, cars, and wages from creditors. They can help you regain control over your financial situation. Affordable payment plans are available, including Chapter 13s, filed with no money down on attorney fees. Call Prey Law Firm today for a free consultation.
Named one of the top staycation cities in the country, make Fort Smith, Arkansas your vacation headquarters. With a variety of lodging, cultural, and historic attractions, Fort Smith offers plenty of outdoor activities, from skating to biking and hiking. Tour the fabulous downtown with our world-renowned public contemporary art, or take a scenic train ride through the mountains and experience the beauty of the natural state. Make our visitor center your first stop. Start planning now at experiencefortsmith.com.
When I opened my practice, I was so focused on the care of my patients that missed revenue, coding denials, and eligibility denials threatened the financial stability of my business. Thankfully, a colleague recommended Medical Office Systems. Their certified professionals performed a free medical audit and identified hundreds of missed reimbursement opportunities. Within weeks, MOS recovered thousands in revenue. The best part? They only got paid when I got paid. Don't make the same mistakes I made. Call MOS today.
Cooks, load your wagons. Racing on the Ridge Chuck Wagon races at Whiskey Ridge Ranch in Malvern. Racing action, bullfighting, bull riding, trail rides, kids events, and concerts and more. Bring your family, set up camp, western fun, and good grub to boot. Slip your boots on and come on down September 17th through the 20th.
The Labor Day sale at Furniture Row has been extended, so the more you buy, the more you save. Save $100 on every $1,000 you spend.
Plus 5 years no interest and free shipping.
But don't wait. The extended Labor Day sale at Furniture Row ends soon.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. President Trump announces 20 new additions to his original list of potential Supreme Court nominees. The list includes 3 sitting Republican senators, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, and Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri. The list also includes several current and former members of President Trump's administration. The president says the election will play a big role in the court's future.
Over the next 4 years, America's president will choose hundreds of federal judges and, in all likelihood, 1, 2, 3, and even 4 Supreme Court justices. The outcome of these decisions will determine whether we hold fast to our nation's founding principles or whether they are lost forever.
Senator Cotton issued this statement. He says, "I'm honored that President Trump asked me to consider serving on the Supreme Court, and I'm grateful for his confidence. I'll always heed the call of service to our nation." President Trump held another airport rally on Tuesday night, this one in the battleground state of North Carolina, after our rallies have become the Trump campaign's compromise to the COVID pandemic. The president again claimed a virus vaccine could be available in just weeks, while swiping at one of his opponents, Vice Presidential candidate Kamala Harris, for saying that she wouldn't trust Mr. Trump's word on a vaccine being reliable.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, rated the most liberal, are undermining science and risking countless lives with their reckless anti-vaccine rhetoric. That's what they're talking about. So now they know we have it. It's only a question of weeks or a small amount of time. So instead of saying that's a great thing, we're going to save lives, they're trying to disparage it. They're trying to make it politics. They're trying to do so. And now what's going to happen is we'll have it, and people won't want to take it. That's really bad.
Joe Biden took a little time out of his campaign schedule to do some shopping on the campaign trail in Michigan on Wednesday. Democratic presidential nominee stopped at a store called 313 in Detroit and perused some items outside the shop. Biden said that he was shopping for his grandchildren and purchased 2 T-shirts. He also reiterated his call to complete transparency surrounding a potential COVID-19 vaccine.
There's got to be total transparency. I hope we have a vaccine tomorrow. Would be wonderful. But we got to make sure there's total transparency. The experts are able to look at it across the board and make a judgment. Because you know what's happened already. He's put pressure on some of the agencies to do things that they weren't ready to do. And so I'm confident we'll get a vaccine, and the sooner the better.
On D-Day, June 6, 1944, a black Army medic corporal, Waverly Woodson Jr., saved hundreds of lives on Normandy's Omaha Beach. Washington correspondent Morgan Wright reports Corporal Woodson never received the Medal of Honor, and now lawmakers have introduced legislation to posthumously award Woodson the nation's highest award for heroism.
On D-Day, Army medic Corporal Waverly Woodson Jr. was wounded when a blast destroyed his landing craft. Despite his injuries, Woodson set up an aid station on Omaha Beach.
If not for the heroism of Corporal Waverly Woodson, dozens, if not hundreds more would have been added to that grim tally.
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen says Woodson treated at least 200 soldiers. For 30 grueling hours, he removed bullets, cleaned wounds, and saved lives. Woodson, an African American, has never received the Medal of Honor, despite recommendations from his commanders. Maryland Congressman David Trone says that's a travesty.
No African Americans were recommended to receive the Medal of Honor during World War II.
The Army has insisted that it needs additional documents to prove that Woodson earned the honor, records that were destroyed in 1973 by a fire. Van Hollen says documents or not, it's time to right a historic wrong. He's introduced legislation that would authorize the president to take action, and it now has the support of one of the president's allies in the Senate.
Give the president of the United States the tool with which he can, with a stroke of a pen, correct this injustice.
Woodson was born in Senator Patrick Toomey's home state of Pennsylvania. He died in Maryland in 2005. Woodson's widow, Joanne, has been working since 2015 to make sure her husband is honored for his valor.
Right this wrong, or to at least have the recognition that my dear beloved husband deserved.
Reporting in Washington, I'm Morgan Wright.
Absolutely deserves. We're back to wrap up Capitol View after this. It's Sunday morning. Hope you're enjoying yourself.
My name is John, and I'm a retired veteran. Years ago, I suffered a back injury that left me partially paralyzed. Emergency surgery fixed that, but it didn't stop the pain. I needed help, and Arkansas Spine and Pain was there. They treated me like a person, not just a patient. I needed actual relief, and they knew it. I remember waking up one day not in pain. It was the first time in years. I couldn't remember the last time I didn't hurt. So I just laid in bed for a few more minutes and soaked it all in. Arkansas Spine and Pain, they helped me get my life back ASAP.
Hello, I'm Mike Rainwater, and I applaud the efforts of KARK and Fox 16 taking a stand to create a safer Central Arkansas through their Victory Over Violence campaign. At Rainwater, Holt and Sexton, we do our part. So each month, we feature a difference maker. We give $1,000 to a group or organization that truly makes an impact on the lives of others. It'll take all of us to declare victory over violence.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
That's it for today's show. Jay Burr will be back from Parts Unknown next week with an all-new Capitol View. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody, and have a great week.